everybody, welcome to the channel. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button for more videos like this one. If you've already done both of those, here is your high five. Now, this video, I will admit, I know it's short and slightly different from the other ones that I've put out, but I hope you guys like it. Anyway, thank you for listening to this announcement. However, there's one more thing I would like to discuss before we get properly into the video. Let me tell you a story.
Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a nameless monster. The monster was dying to have a name. So the monster made up his mind and set out on a journey to look for one. But the world was such a very large place. The monster split in two and went on separate journeys, meant to being a monster without a name. The monster next went to a castle to look for a nice name. He came upon a very sick boy who lived in that castle. "If you give me your name, I'll make you strong," said the monster. The boy replied, "If you can make me healthy and strong, I will give you my name." So the monster jumped right into the boy. But finally, the hunger just became too great. Look at me," said the boy. "The monster inside of me has gotten this big." The boy devoured the king and all his servants. Munch, munch, chomp, chomp, gobble, gobble, go. The castle was lonely now with everyone gone, so the boy left on a journey. He walked and walked for days. And then one day, the boy came upon the monster who had gone west. "I have a name," said the boy, "and it's such a wonderful one at that." But the monster who went west replied, "Who needs a name? I'm perfectly happy without one." After all, that's what we are, nameless monsters. The boy ate up the monster who went west. At last he had found a name, but there was no longer anyone to call him by it. Such a shame, because Johan was such a wonderful name.
Perhaps before I get truly too deep in the analysis, maybe I should give you a little rundown on what Monster is. Monster is a TV series that ran from 2004 to 2007 that follows the story of Dr. Tenma, a brilliant neurosurgeon who chooses to save the life of a young boy instead of a famous client. However, the young boy that he saved goes on to become a serial killer, and Dr. Tenma chooses to chase him down in order to stop him from causing more atrocities. After watching the anime Monster, which is a really good anime that I feel isn't talked about enough, so you should probably go watch it, I admit I was left with a lot of questions. The ending felt rushed and confusing. I wasn't quite sure how I was supposed to feel. So, like any good enthusiast, I went right to YouTube to search for answers. I came across this video that I will link in the description. It's a really good video, but something about it left me feeling unsatisfactory. However, the video did do a sufficient job in perking my imagination. And I have done some thinking, and I've come up with my own analysis about the ending of Monster. Now, before I give my analysis, I would like you to know that this is solely based on the anime adaptation. While I heard it was pretty much a one-for-one recreation of the manga, I don't want people yelling at me saying I missed something. So, if you don't want to watch, an analysis based on the anime, then I guess too bad. I'm sorry. Just but that's what this is. So, anyways, I feel like it's impossible to discuss the ending of Monster without discussing the character of Johan. The screwed up young kid clearly steals the show. While on my first viewing, I kind of thought Johan was a weak antagonist, after further understanding the messages behind the show, I can now understand why everyone thinks he's so great. Johan is a twin who has suffered his entire life. When he was a young child, his mother chose to abandon his sister in order to save him. His sister, who then retold the stories of the suffering she'd undergone, and then he was sent to 511 Kinderheim. There he was brainwashed and convinced to think that the memories his sister told him were actually his. After killing people as a young boy, he was shot in the head and revived by the main character, Dr. Tenma. However, due to his childhood, he was left without a true understanding of his identity. The story I told you in the beginning was a way to represent Johann's struggle of not truly understanding who he was. Because Johann didn't have an identity, he became this embodiment of nihilism, or the monster, so to speak. He became so much so that without his nihilism, there is no Johann. Lunge even explains this when he says that Johann is still fictitious, even though Lunge now is able to admit that he's a real person. Johann is not a person with goals or simple ambitions. He's not real, so to speak. Nihilism is Johann, and Johann is nihilism.
Only one thing's equal for all, and that is death.
All people are equal in death is Johann's most favorite catchphrase throughout the series. It is done to contrast Dr. Tenma's view that all lives are equal. This theme becomes the main question throughout the series. Are all lives really equal? If Dr. Tenma hadn't saved Johann, wouldn't the world be a better place? Doesn't that make his life value much less than that of others? However, Dr. Tenma decides that the answer to this question is no. Johann's life matters just as much as anybody else's, despite all the despicable things that he has done. And for that reason, Dr. Tenma chooses to save him at the end of the series.
This one. No, wait. This one!
That's why the story about Johann's mother that he tells at the end of the series is so important. At first, I was confused why the story chose to end on this, and why the title of the episode was called The True Monster. When you first watch it, the story almost seems insignificant, and just something else to add on to Johann's many troubles. But you see, that isn't true. The story symbolizes Johann's reasoning perfectly. Whether or not his mother knew which one of the twins she was choosing is simply unimportant. One of them must have been worth more than the other to her. If even a mother can love one of her children more, then all lives must not be equal. As soon as he reads the book and gets his memories back, Johan is able to remember that all lives are not equal, and he attempts to prove this to Tenma in his perfect suicide. There, he forces Tenma to choose between killing him or the kid. But fate decides to prove Johan wrong. Fate doesn't let him go through with his suicide attempt. It brings in something Johan wasn't planning on. Fate allows Tenma to save his life, proving that there is something worthy about his life and that he should live. Perhaps his value is through Nina, or maybe it's through some future connections that he might make. It doesn't truly matter, but no one truly wants or deserves to die. And since Tenma has proven that all lives are in fact equal by saving Johan. Johan's nihilistic worldview has no choice but to crumble. And without nihilism, whether or not Johan sneaks off and lives somewhere, or he dies, the fictitious Johan that Lunge describes ceases to exist. And that's why we were left with nothing but an empty bed where Johan used to be. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please let me know. I'd love to make more analysis videos like this. Another thing I could analyze from Monster is Johan's daring game he makes the kids play. If ideas like that interest you, be sure to subscribe, and thank you guys so much for your time. I know this was a little different from what I've been coming out with recently, but I just felt like I needed to talk about it, so thank you.